everyone, and welcome to Auto Asphyxiation. It's Lark.
And your very pathetic host, Kimberly.
You're not pathetic. Stop saying that. Anyway, my wonderful co-host Kimberly. You know, this weekend was interesting for lots of reasons. For lots and lots of reasons. No Kings. The sequel happened on October 18th. And of course, our usual suspects were like, "Oh my God, you're not doing anything. It totally sucks." But you know what? I Something I noticed, and this is something that Kimberly pointed out, is that so many of these No Kings marches are organized by women. Have
Yes,
you
they
noticed
are.
that?
Yes, I have. Most of them are organized by women, or they're and the Visibility Brigade movement. I think you're familiar with them. They set up on overpasses on highways all over the country. That's also like I think 100% organized by women.
And it's like, to me, I really find it really interesting that everything that women organize is silly. Oh, it's dumb. It's not real. Like, oh, so a real activism activity has to involve guys and weapons.
Yes.
Um, and here's the thing. You guys can organize whatever the fuck you want at any point. And yet you can't, because you can't figure out how to do a Zoom meeting. I know there's some I'm not even say who it is, but I heard there's some organization that can't even organize a Zoom meeting for a national convention.
No.
Yes, and I'm like, you think the No Kings March is ridiculous because a bunch of silly women are doing it, and you want to just kind of like. And here's another thing too. They're just like, well, so this is their say. Well, there are not a lot of black women being part of it. That's all you got. That's
Why are
all you
they,
got.
why would they even say that when they don't even organize with black women themselves?
The whole irony that people are kind of like, well, there people of color aren't being part of it. Black women. Well, you don't organize with black women either. So what are you trying to say? Yeah, exactly.
I saw, the whole thing is that okay, like the marches drew out everybody. They drew out everybody.
That's
There was
true.
8.5 million people, I think is the estimate that I've seen, the most recent estimate that I've seen. So we'll say between 7 and 8.5 million people. That's everybody. That is a slice of America. Everybody was represented at these marches around the country.
Exactly. I mean, I went to the march and I saw everybody. We saw seniors. People were kind of like, well, there's just a bunch of old people. You know what? Old people protesting is fine. Because guess what? We have a lot of baby boomers. That's a big slice of our population. When we were saying old people, you're saying a huge voting population. Baby boomers are a huge demographic, only second to millennials who are, so it's kind of like this whole idea like so Generation D, Generation X, we're both quite small. This kind of dismissing baby boomers going out is kind of ridiculous because they're kind of a major voting bloc. Um
They're a huge voting bloc. And not only the baby boomers, but there were also silent generation people all over the place. I saw pictures of World War II veterans with signs that said, I fought fascism in 1943 and I'm gonna fight it again. Like, it really was a perfect slice of the demographics of what makes up our nation.
And when I was in suburban New Jersey. I went to Soma, the South Orange Maplewood, which is kind of like like this group of people who are essentially like they're actually like actively like fighting against like racism. They're kind of doing Essex the way I want people to do Essex. And essentially, like No Kings, the slogan is just in of itself, it's a rejection of hierarchical male-dominated power. And I think a lot of people are just kind of like, when I saw that, I saw kids there, I saw mothers there, I saw primary caregivers there. I mean, there was Generation X, we were there. We exist. We're a small population, but we exist. We're there. And I feel like this whole idea, people don't understand how protests aren't like one thing. They're part of a movement. It's part of momentum. It's like we're building towards the midterms. We're building towards building capacity, creating relationships, creating connections. It's not just like people can't say, oh, it can't just be about voting. The same people who complain about, oh, it can't just be about voting are now complaining because we're doing protesting in a way that they don't like.
Yeah, uh, that part. And you know, I get really irritated by people that are like, oh, okay, so you all went out. So what are you going to do now? These protests are an opportunity for people to build community across boundaries, to look at one another in the eye as Americans and say, we're here to save what we want for our democracy and to move it forward and to get rid of this authoritarianism. The No King slogan harkens back to our original revolution. We didn't want a king back then. We don't want a king now.
Yeah, and this is and I'm just I'm kind of like this, the 50-50. Oh, I'm saying I'm still doing it wrong. 50-51 or 50-501. I'm not saying it right. It's 50-51 or something like that. Bill Kibben, I know that's his thing. They're like, "Oh, what are we doing? Oh, we're trying to build momentum for the midterm so that we can actually impeach and convict because we can't convict without the House. This is not like some weird. I don't understand. People don't understand how the Constitution works, and also to build a new kind of democracy. To build like, okay, let's care about the environment. Let's care about the Constitution. Let's care about the Voters' Rights Act. Let's care about. I mean, the actual ideas of what the No King's March was for was very, very freaking clear. And it really just irritates me, just kind of like this kind of like poo-pooing, like this is horrible, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that the fact that women were the ones who were leading this movement was is part of the issue. This is why it's kind of like you're kind of why are you, what's the feminist angle? The feminist angle is that women were organizing this, and this is why I feel more so than the Democratic Party being part of it, which it is not. There are parts of there are Democratic Party people who are part of it, but that's how people who actually know how to organize do. They go, oh, here's a movement, let me show up. And the left, people on the left, people who we know on the left, could have showed up. They could have shown up and like presented their side in a way that's respectable. They could have showed not respectful to other people, but no. Instead of that, they're just talking about everybody. Oh, you suck because you went to a protest and it's not really doing anything. What are you doing other than hanging out on Facebook complaining? What are you doing exactly?
Exactly. What are you doing? Because for the most part, you're not really doing anything except for naysaying and not actually helping democracy move forward. Those people on the left are also the same ones that are shilling for Green Party candidates that when the Green Party candidate dropped out and the next one didn't get enough signatures, well, we'll have a write-in campaign. You didn't get enough signatures. That means that nobody wants you on the ballot. Are you Andrew Cuomo? Do you not know how to take no for an answer?
I think this is the whole thing. Yeah, it's like, okay, it's New Jersey. We're the most dense state in the country. And if you're in Essex, okay, but different if the Green Party candidate was out of Sussex, where there's like two people, like you and your dad. Oh, but this is Essex County. If you can't get enough signatures in Essex, what is wrong with you? All you have to do is like build momentum. But here's the thing: in order to get people to sign on to you, you have to actually be likable. And this is a problem with the left in New Jersey. They're an unlikable crew of essentially assholes. And they're always kind of confused as to why are people always going to the Democratic Party? I guess because they're getting tired of being cursed out by you and screamed at. I mean, I don't understand what they don't understand about this.
And they're not, it even it annoys me so badly. Like I saw today that Jack Schitarelli is absolutely committed to making sure that same-sex marriage is ended in the state of New Jersey. Ended. And these people who are, well, we can't vote for Mikey because she's a woman and she talks too much about her Navy career and she's a neoliberal. Okay, so we're going to let Jack Schitarelli take away same-sex marriage in the state.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, so in case because we didn't do everything correctly, let's just smash everything, destroy all. It's kind of like a child. Oh, I don't like the game we're playing, so I'm going to destroy everything in the toy room, and that'll make it better. No, it's not going to make it better. The fact that you're going to vote, you're going to make it so that Mikey doesn't win is not going to make it's not going to make it easier to for the revolution, whatever revolution they're thinking of to come. These people are accelerationists. That's the whole thing. I think people should understand that a lot of these men that are on the left, they don't want things to be fixed. They want things to be destroyed because they want to essentially enact patriarchy saviorism. So essentially they can be in charge of some leftist authoritarian BS, not democracy, not a situation where we all are equal, but a situation where essentially those with the most weapons win. Because that's the only thing you're talking about. Oh, we need to have weapons. Oh, so
Those
you're essentially saying you want sexism, you want the biggest person, the physically biggest person to win. What's the difference between that is not that's not what I want.
Well, and that part cracks me up too, because I know the people that you're talking about. You know the people that you're talking about. Are those people strong men? Do those people have weapons that they're trained in? No, they do not. They have slacks and boat shoes. That's what they have. And if the shit hits the fan, I'm not going to the guy with slacks and boat shoes. I know how to take care of my own self. Thank you so much.
That's the whole thing. You're not even ready. You're not ready. It's like if what you want to happen actually happened, you would have a really hard time. And I just, the thing is that it's all about we are doing capacity. And the thing is that meet people where they are. Meet people where they are. I met a lot of when I went and to No Kings protest, I met a lot of great people. I met a lot of great people who care about environmentalism, who care about bicycles. I know it's kind of weird. I have my whole sign was no kings, no cars, pedal power. We have, I mean, there are people who care about gender issues. There are people who care about, same-sex marriage. There are people who care about at the education system. The thing about in New Jersey, you know, Jack plans to defund the schools. He plans to defund special education. He plans to make, being transgender illegal. You can't do that, but he plans on doing that. He plans on enacting everything that Trump wants to enact. He plans on making it so that people can't in vote in the presidential election in 2028. We need to make sure that we have our power and our rights for the 2028 election. And that's not going to happen with some protest vote. And especially New Jersey, we're in a really dangerous spot. I don't think people quite understand
I don't
how close it was with just even Phil Murphy last year. Not last year, the last election. I'm covering the election for AP on November 4th, and I have faith that Mikey will do well, but I'm angry that people are not viewing what is happening right now with the seriousness the seriousness and the importance and the critical eye that is needed for this election.
But you know that the people that, again, the people that we're talking about and the people that are going to, do a protest vote yet again, these are people who are little to no effect, eh, who have little to no effect upon their own person with the policies that set forward. These are cisgendered white men and they're not going to feel the effects. They don't have special needs children. Some of them might have disabled wives, but that's real easy to walk out on. Like, this is like they're not going to ever actually have to deal with the reality in the same way that literally everyone else is going to have to.
Yeah, they have this thing where it's about theory instead of practice. They can have this all these in theory conversations. They can have all these imaginary conversations because they're not going to have any consequence to when these things are enacted. And here's what I have begun to contemplate that really want it to go back to they want to drag us back to the dark ages because they want to have power. If they don't have women, they don't have people of color, they don't have transgender people, well then automatically, even if they're on the left, white men get to be in charge. And so we can't view this as the fact that, we think, oh, maybe they're ignorant and they don't get it. Maybe they do get it. Maybe they completely understand what this means in regards to, oh, if Jack wins and we have all this oppression, we win. Even if we aren't going to get the same amount as somebody who's rich, at least we're going to be above these people. We can't act like that's not a thing because it could possibly be a thing.
And they want to be heroes. They want to be heroes so badly because that is the narrative from like in our society, the narrative is the white man is the superhero. He's the head of the household. He is the chivalrous white knight that comes and saves the damsel in distress. And in reality, it's really they just want to hold on to power.
And I think that more people on the left should challenge that. I mean, and this is why I think that feminism is so important in regards to that, because feminism, it feminist politics, whether it's feminist economics or feminist urbanism, it critiques that dynamic of power. It critiques the fact that so much of power is about authoritarianism, it's about maleness, it's about patriarchy, it's about limiting the idea of who can have power. No one should have power over anybody else. But if you make it so that only one demographic has power, that just makes that demographic more willing and likely to create situations where they can actually be in control. And especially, like, when you talk to them, they're so bitter. Oh, I don't have a house, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have this because of capitalism. But they can't fight the rich, but they can fight a woman, they can fight. This is why they're so into the whole Karen thing. That's why I refuse to use Karen. I refuse to use Karen. I refuse to allow people to use the term Karen because I know some people do, but it pisses me off because it's like, wow, what about Todd? What about Todd? He's doing all kinds of things. Nobody's calling him out. And the thing is that if you're a woman and you try to say, hey, I don't want you to pollute the planet, or I don't want you to like not care about my kids, or I want you to care about seniors, or I want you to like not be sexist. Oh, shut up, Karen. This has become this way of kind of like, oh, if you're not agreeable and nice and pleasant, then you're just a Karen.
And that's so ridiculous because like the Karen was like a specific person, right? Like it was a specific person. It was like, a nosy neighborhood white lady bothering, black people who were just living their lives, calling the police unnecessarily, so on and so forth. But it has now become a slur for any woman that speaks up. So even if you're speaking up and you should be speaking up, you're going to automatically get labeled a Karen because you're a woman speaking up.
Well, people have called me Karen. And I'm like, what? I even got called. Oh, be quiet, Karen. Oh, because I want to ride my bike. Oh, so anytime you have anything, they try to minimize it by calling you Karen, which is like, okay, there's no comparable slur for men. And I think that's really interesting and really telling.
I
Um,
really like to call men bitches. I sorry, like I'm that really like they really don't like that. They don't like being called a bitch. And if a guy calls me a Karen, that's generally what I'm gonna call him back. Or some other kind of terrible slur that they've been slinging at us for centuries. They get really, really upset when you sling it back to them.
Yeah, we could just use the term basic bro. They don't think they didn't have a problem with that, so that's why we made it basic bitch. But it's just, and I think the thing is that people kind of go like, oh, well, you're not going to influence policy. I'm going to tell you this. Almost every change in regards to the United States, in regards to something that matters, whether it be people not being run over by cars because of speed or, seat belts, or there's so many things in regards to urbanism, regards to urban planning that exist because of women. Because essentially, like, they're the ones that kind of go, you can't run over our children. These cars are going too fast. This is polluting the planet. Women do, when women say, when feminists and when women essentially uplift a problem, change does happen. This whole idea, like, oh, it's not going to influence policy. Oh, really? Because it seems like when women get together and rise up in regards to many policies, especially in regards to urbanism, lots of things change. We think about the person who actually just passed away. I'm trying to think of her name. She is Jane Goodall. Jane Goodall.
Jane Goodall, yes,
Yeah,
Jane Goodall, yeah.
she just passed away. This, think about. I mean, everything think about Silent Spring, Rachel Carson. I mean, these are people who have really made differences and changes in the world, and we kind of go, oh, just every time with something women do is not going to make a difference. It's not going to change policy. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. I don't know if any, it's kind of like, oh, there's the only thing that changes policy is when guys get together and shoot each other. I don't know if that's the case because the United States has been at war for the last 50 years. Um, and has
And
things
not much
gotten
has
better?
changed.
Yeah, have the things gotten better?
Well, and it's such a naysaying, like sexist thing to be like, well, women have never affected policy. The suffragette movement, the worldwide suffragette movement that g got women the right to vote, Roe v. Wade, that was a huge feminist battle. Like, I know that like we're now in a post-Roe world, but like the lead up to that was a huge feminist battle where yes, a policy changes were in fact made. These are people who just don't want us to do anything because they want us to sink into the despair so that they can come and be heroes.
Yeah, I have to believe that's what it is because, there are too many examples where women did come together to organize. And that's the whole thing. It's so funny about the No Kings situation. This is a continuation of the Women's March. That's what this is. A continuation of the Women's March. It's a continuation of Me Too. It's a continuation of all that. It sprouts from that because people don't kind of realize it, but think about who's organizing it. Think about who's there. Think about, you know, and of course everyone is there, but why is everyone there? When men organize stuff, only men show up. But women organize stuff, everybody shows up. So that's how you can tell. When you see a diverse audience, you know women did it because men don't know how to get a diverse audience. All they do
No,
is know
because
how to bring in
they only invite their bros.
exactly, because they want to have a real serious conversation.
Yes.
They can't have a serious conversation with children and women and people of color. They view the rest of us are not actually part of that. And I have to say, like, when I was there, I felt, you know, I think the thing is interesting is that, I was, part of like Occupy, I was part of a lot of things, but being part of this and even the Women's March, I felt safe. And I don't know if people kind of like, well, that's you shouldn't feel safe when you're at a protest. Well, why not? That's why not? Why shouldn't I feel safe at the protest? Why shouldn't I feel solidarity at a protest? Why should I feel that? Oh, I feel like a protest, sometimes a protest should be like what we want the world to be. And I don't understand how that's a negative thing. I don't understand how that's a challenging thing for people to understand.
And people, I do understand why people are like, okay, like what's next? So now we've gotten this like really big turnout, which is it's been successful even in red states. Like there was huge turnouts in places like Idaho, like home of the Aryan Nation. Idaho had huge turnouts at the state capitol. Tennessee had a huge turnout. So people now, are like, well, what's next? Okay, that's fair. What's next? So now we've met up and we're building community. So what's next? Next is a general strike. Are you guys ready for that? Most of them are not. Most people are not ready for a sustained economic strike against the government.
Well, this is all about, I think one of the things about this is, I like to talk about participatory budgeting, participatory zoning, participatory politics. So now, like now, we can all decide instead of having like, that's a whole other thing too. I think a lot of times with men, they want a leader. But with women, it's like consensus. So we're kind of like, what do we do next? You know what? We don't tell you what to do next in your local area. Yeah, we have general ideas of what we're going to do, but a general strike, how are we going to do that? How are we going to, we're going to organize that in our different areas in various ways. It's not going to be the way we do it in New Jersey might not be how they do it in New York, might not be how they do it in Georgia. It doesn't mean it is less effective. It just means we're doing things that's effective in because we have a situation where we have all these different states. We have the whole states' rights things, thanks to men. We have to kind of like go, okay, we're creating this local idea, but we're doing participatory, I think participatory protesting. I think that's a new thing. I gotta like talk about that. Participatory protesting, where we're kind of going, well, how does this work in your area? How does this protest work in your area? How does a general strike work in your area? Are we gonna like, are all the teachers gonna go out? Are all the childcare workers gonna go out? I think actually, really, if we took all the childcare workers out, that would be kind of amazing because that would just that would just shut down a whole bunch of stuff. And they'd be like,
Well,
what?
just think, no, but the childcare workers, if the CNAs didn't show up to work, if the nurses didn't show up to work, like if the grocery store employees didn't show up to work, these are the people. We don't need professionals to not show up to work. We don't need like, critical safety engineers and shit like that. We need the people that make this country run. And the people that make this country run are service workers and civil servants, such as teachers, nurses, doctors, postal workers, all of those people. The country will come grinding to a halt if we do a sustained economic strike, but people have to be prepared for it.
And I think the one thing that'd be good about like child care workers and CNA is that we could all pool our money together to pay for their salaries. So
Yes.
if we took the child care workers out, we took the CNA workers out, we could pay their salaries. It's horrible, but after we get this accomplished, we're gonna get them paid more money. But we could right now, we could actually pay child care workers because I actually did the numbers during COVID, and when I wanted to, as an economic analyst. I did the numbers and I said we could actually pay all the child care workers in the United States to stay at home. So we could actually, if we did it, I'm not saying we should do this or not do this, but I'm saying if we did a general strike and if we took the child care workers and probably CNAs off, you know, into a general strike, that would be disruptive, but we also could make sure that those workers were safe in regards to paying their salary for what they're making right now.
Yes.
The goal would be to them make more money, but we whatever they're getting paid right now, we actually have the ability to pay for them to be part of this and to actually make an impact because CNA workers and childcare workers literally they do so much. I don't
And they
think people understand what would happen if they disappeared.
Yeah, exactly. And when nurses strike, things grind to an absolute halt because now, like, if we talk about like a sustained nurses strike, not just like a hospital union nurses strike, but like all facilities in an area and whatnot. Now you have all of these elderly people who don't have anybody to care for them. Now you have all of these special needs children and special needs adult who don't have anybody to care for them. All the administration is going to have to go in there and they don't know how to do that anymore. This is how you make the country grind to a halt and you get your point across and you would affect policy change.
And the thing too is that childcare workers and CNAs, number one, is you don't have enough administrators to replace them, and they cannot be easily replaced. You can't go in there and do a CNA's job. People are like, well, I could just,
Mm-mm.
no, you can't. You cannot do a
You
CNA and you can't do childcare workers' job because
you
when a 2-year-old starts screaming, what are you going to do? What are
I
you going to do?
I've been a nurse for 16 years, and a lot of people take like they take a path towards nursing and usually they become a CNA first. I did not take that path. I was a retail manager. I went into school after I lost my job, so on and so forth. So a lot, but I will tell you, there's been days where we've been short with CNAs and I get a CNA assignment. I can't do it. I can't do it because I'm not, I can do one person at a time. But when you give me a full CNA assignment of 8 to 15 patients, I can't do it because that's not my specialty. That's not my training. So, yes, you're absolutely right. People think that they can, oh, yeah, no, that's really easy. You can do it. I'm a nurse. I can't do what CNAs do.
Exactly. And I think this is, you know, I'll tell you something else. People cannot organize the way women can organize in regards to no kings couldn't be done without women. And people are like, well, no, you could not. No king could not be organized without women. Political conventions can't be organized without women. If women are in charge, or don't have a position of leadership, nothing gets done. I don't know why that is, but in the United States, if women are not in part of leadership, nothing gets done. So I'm going to quote The Color Purple that until you do right by me, everything you do is going to turn to crap because this is something people respect. And I think women who do events, who are event managers, who are event coordinators, understand your power to shut it all down. They can't do a damn thing without without administrators, without event planners, without the people who do the program coordinators and operators. They can't do anything. You know who they are. They can't do a damn thing without us.
No, they cannot. And it is, I worked in retail for 15 years before I was a nurse. And anytime that the district manager came in and we got busy, like when I worked at Starbucks, and he would come in and he'd be like, I used to do this too, but yeah, you haven't done it in 5 years. And now you're screwing everybody else up. And it's the same thing with the administrators in nursing facilities. But 99% of the time, administrators don't care how short staffed you are. They're just going to walk out anyway.
Exactly. And with that, we're gonna wrap it up. Do you have anything else to say, Kimberly?
Get yourselves ready for an extended economic strike. Make sure that you have cash on hand. Make sure that you have dry perishables on hand, like beans, rice, pastas, canned fruits and vegetables. With the holidays coming up, look into making handmade gifts for your loved ones so that we can really truly make a gigantic economic impact. This is really important, and we need everybody to be committed to it so that it works.
Exactly. Remember that, and also remember the your neighbors who, November food stamps and things might be getting shut off. So if you know people who are in that situation, remember to get a little extra for people who may need a little extra. And with that, thank you for listening. Please subscribe.
Thank you so much for listening.
Okay.